What's going on, guys? So I want to talk a little bit about Bitcoin HEX. This is a project still a little ways away. It's I think like in the Telegram group, it's not like a set date, but it's still about say about 50 days away or so. It needs to go through a couple of different processes, like getting the contract audited. But this project has a lot of potential and has a lot of interesting elements to it that we haven't really seen in crypto before. It's branding itself as like trustless interest, the first, certificate of deposit on the blockchain. And there's the main kind of function that we're going to see is going to be staking. Let me show you guys a little bit. I have some of this up here, but this is going to be a little bit of kind of like what the interface is going to look like. So you can kind of see the way it works, for those of you guys that are a little bit unfamiliar with this project, you're going to get, for every 1 Bitcoin that you claim when the claim date comes around, at least if you're going to claim on that day, you're going to get 10,000 HEX. And so that's going to decrease over the next, I think it's like 50 weeks or so, until it's kind of progressively go down. There's some really interesting game theory in terms of getting in early on this project. It has a little bit of a different like referral system. So like with a lot of traditional referral systems in crypto, it's you may lose out. It's like, for instance, like some of the earnings platforms that I've been in, if you're if you're referring something, you're giving like a percentage of your money to the person that referred you, that basically kind of explained the project and informs you about it. This one's a little bit different, where it's actually just going to inflate the supply 20% when you refer another person. So there's a lot of really cool things about it. I think probably one of the things that like I've been that I'm looking to one of the things I want to or one of the more entertaining elements has been like the memes. I'll show you guys this. Like I've been downloading some of these memes. There's all of these like awesome memes that have been in some of the Telegram groups on this particular project. So like I've been downloading some of this stuff. I've been getting into a lot of these. I've been downloading a lot of these projects. So let's just click on one, so you can kind of see like there's tons of like cool memes. Like some of them are hilarious. And then there's like, I guess kind of more of like the graphical ones. I guess that's kind of some of the ones, like there's some really cool, like when you kind of bring in like the hexagonal element to it. Oh, it's just going on the next one. But there's like, there's a lot of really cool things you can do with this. Like I think what I'm going to do is I'm just kind of organizing some of this, because I'm looking to put out perhaps some videos, some more like published videos. This is a little bit of a summary. I'll kind of go through this really quickly. So this is kind of like the 1 Bitcoin, 10,000 HEX when you're in the claiming period. When you have kind of a whale penalty, they're also restricting certain Bitcoin addresses, like the Mt. Gox addresses and a few others, from being able to claim or get in on this period. There's it's the first 50 weeks bonus. And it's going to kind of shift, like I'm still learning about this project. If you're just purely looking at it like you want to get in and you just want to know how to do some of the basics, it's going to be very simplistic in terms of just through the claiming period, holding your Bitcoin in a wallet that can do signatures, and then it's going to be on the Ethereum blockchain. And as this project, I think once it gets out of like the kind of the initial first 50 weeks, there's some different elements to it. So there's a lot of complexity to this project, a lot of different things that I'm going to try to break down and explain a little bit more in depth as I learn more about it. So I'm still learning quite a bit about it. That's why I've been taking kind of like I've been taking a lot of different notes. I've got like a bunch of different files. Like I've been learning on some of this stuff. Like I got in there, and this was one thing like I did, like there was a DDoS attack, and so like I posted this in here. Like there was a DDoS attack on the Electrum servers. So I was basically, saying like, I think like the advice was, oh man, I'm kind of forgetting now. The advice was to, to make sure you're on the most updated version of Electrum, and I think there was another setting that you needed to do, and I didn't know a whole lot about this. So someone basically said there's better advice: run Bitcoin Core and Electrum Personal Server, remove your dependence on third-party Electrum servers, and regain your privacy. So, like, I learned stuff like in this project. Like, I didn't really know about that, and I had to kind of research it a little bit. And so that's kind of one of the interesting things about this project. Like the humor element involved with it. I think like the layout is going to be really cool. Like, this is another kind of dashboard this is a sample dashboard. This may change, but you can kind of see a little bit of like how this is going to look, the feel of this. I mean, the memes are the memes are awesome. You can kind of see we have Tom Vase, decentralized, unibrow, proof of weak hands. It was great. His haircut's ridiculous. I don't know. It's funny. Like I don't know. Like lately with arbitraging, like there's kind of been some infighting. Like I've kind of gone after some people because of some of the unprofessionalism I've seen, and I don't know. Maybe like people are looking at me like I'm bullying people or whatever. But I think part of it is the people. The people in some of these projects aren't the biggest crypto experts. Like a lot of them are noobs. They're just kind of getting into crypto. Maybe they've only been in like a year or two. Richard Hart's been in crypto since the beginning, and I don't think that I would win an argument in just about anything that related to crypto. With him, he kind of has a very strong personality in that sense. But it's good because you learn. Like that's one of the great elements to it, and I think that there's some different aspects to this project that solve some of the issues that we're seeing in cryptocurrency. So like you're not going to have the same issues with energy intensive mining because of the staking process on the Electrum or the Ethereum blockchain. The staking element, everything is basically designed to make the price go up. So the longer you stake, basically the more your tokens are going to be worth. There's going to be some different incentives for people to start promoting this project. And I think as we get closer to the snapshot date, you're going to see some other big YouTuber personalities getting in and talking about this. They already pretty much know about this. I put a link in the description below for a video I did like 2 days ago, kind of talking about some of my favorite YouTube personalities, and Richard Hart being one of them. And several of the other guys on there have at least made mention of it or know of it, and part of it is just because Richard Hart is kind of a thought leader in the crypto space, and he has the ability to really provide a very strong point of view or perspective on different topics in crypto. And it's interesting to see him debate other guys that are very, very knowledgeable in the space. So, so I put a link to his YouTube below if you guys want to check him out. I enjoy watching his videos. A lot of them are pretty long, so some of them like they got the timestamps on there. You can kind of like click through and get to just the some of the different topics you're interested in. But I mean, basically with this project, you're trying to get in, getting in early is going to be better. Staking longer is going to be better. And I think there's still a lot of elements that are perhaps still getting ironed out. There might be some different ways to kind of add things to this project. If this is basically a money-making certificate of deposit, and you have something that has the ability to kind of replace like the traditional banking model in terms of, I had this up here just a second, let me bring this up. So Bitcoin has three main functions. So send, receive, and mine. Bitcoin HEX is adding a fourth function, which is basically the staking element. And the staker pays The staker pays the stakers instead of miners, and then it replaces the third parties with trustless peer-to-peer system instead of sending your Bitcoin HEX to an exchange so they can lend it out on your behalf to earn interest for you. What is the supply? The supply is going to be flexible depending on the people that claim. So if more people claim, there's going to be a higher supply. If less people do, it's everything is kind of it's designed in a way also like you're not going to have a situation where somebody that has a ton of Bitcoin is going to have the ability to dump on the contract, which has been a big problem in other situations. Like I remember just the example of Bitcoin Cash. So when Bitcoin Cash forked from Bitcoin, that was a big problem. Like you had like Mt. Gox like dumped on it. There was a few other large Bitcoin holders that didn't want the Bitcoin Cash, waited to at a certain point and then just dumped on it. It just completely crashed the price. So you're not going to have the ability to do that. Plus there's like the whale penalty involved in it. So now there's ways to get around it. Like you can break up like the wallets and things like that, but not everyone's going to do that. So I forget what it was. I think it was like maybe 1,000 Bitcoin or something. I'm probably wrong on that. But the certificate of deposit, I thought this was kind of cool. One of the most popular banking products in existence. Bitcoin HEX is the first CD on the blockchain. It's much better than a CD though, because CD won't pay you more if others decide to close their CDs. Bitcoin HEX does. If only 1% of coin holders stake, your ROI per year as a staker exceeds 369%, which is more than 1% a day. I believe so. Like if 10% stake average ROI for stakers is 36.9%. If 20% stake average ROI for stakers is 18.45%. So instead of sending you money to a foreign mega corporation to buy mining equipment, which shows up late, used, never at all, you can skip the depreciating asset, electricity bills, and stake your coins. So there's, again, like everything is kind of designed to make the price go up, and it has the ability to become like a top 5 coin. And we've kind of seen that. Like you look at like Roger Ver is basically the big personality behind Bitcoin Cash. What is it, like 4th or 5th or something in terms of the market cap? I guess it's dropped recently. Same thing with like Cardano and Charles Hoskinson and kind of his backing behind that project. You look at a lot of like, let's just look at the top 10 for a sec. There was Sun with Tron. You've got, this is an exchange coin that it was kind of interesting to hear like some different perspectives on the BNB coin, and also I think I was watching something where Richard was basically saying, or maybe it wasn't Richard, I think it was Tone Vase who was talking and basically saying it's a shit coin, and but it's still like 7th in terms of the market cap. So if you have something, Bitcoin Cash is 4th. Interesting. I thought it was a little. I haven't been checking in as much into the market lately, but this has the potential to really be a top 5 coin, and you're getting it for free. So the only thing that you really need to kind of focus on is getting, start increasing your holdings of Bitcoin. Appreciate that, Danny. Buy Hot Token, great project. So this is I put this OneNote file in here as well. This OneNote file is a good kind of rundown on some of the different inner workings of this project, and talking about how it's going to be competing, with gold, with offshore banking, credit cards, and that sort of thing. But this is, it's kind of more of like a certificate of deposit in terms of the way they're branding it. There's a good short little video, about 10 minutes or so, of Richard kind of explaining it. So I think one of the things, this is kind of an interesting, like you can see, if you're staking longer, like the percentages go way up. So I think like this one's like 50 years or something. But if you're staking longer than the next person, like when they pull out, like it's like added to the pool of stakers who are staking longer. So that's kind of the game theory element to it. So there's this is kind of a comparison side by side with HEX and Bitcoin. You can see that can you only get it by holding BTC, or can you buy it? So initially, like that's the claim period. Like you're going to be claiming it with your Bitcoin, wallet address by the signature function. If I've heard rumors that they were potentially going to be opening this up to people because it is going to be on the Ethereum blockchain, that they were going to be doing this with Ethereum as well. But I don't know where that went. I haven't seen any more mention of that, and then so they may have dropped that. I know Richard wanted to do that, but I'm not sure kind of where that's at. But that's how you're going to get it once you kind of get over the snapshot period, which is going to be in about 50 days or so, I think is what they're anticipating. It's going to be listed on like IDEX, places like Fork Delta. I know there's because of kind of the because a lot of people in the crypto sphere are very familiar and have a lot of respect for Richard Hart. There's a lot of exchanges, I think, that are going to be very open to having this on those different exchanges. So there's going to be an ability to buy it that way, and then of course like transferring it to basically the interface, which is going to be the smart contract. So I kind of showed that a little bit earlier. Let's see if I can pull that up. I mean, this is what it's going to look like. And so it kind of has like a FOMO 3D, and kind of like the Ethereum smart contract games that really kind of exploded in the summer of 2018. It kind of has that feel to it, and the referral systems and whatnot that kind of work a lot like that. So and this is kind of like a conceptual model. That's, I don't know how I've seen kind of developments in terms of like how this may look. But I think that the logo was kind of the big thing that has kind of come out. Looks like, I really like the logo. They've kind of explained this a little bit more in depth. Kind of basically like very simple three element logo where you've got like this kind of gradient, this tequila sunrise gradient. Kind of has like a Instagram feel to it. But it pops a little bit in terms of like when you're looking at it compared to some of the other kind of mundane or bland branding behind some of those. So it's I think like I've been a little bit more in kind of like the high yield investment kind of DApp space, bot space, and whatnot. This is a little bit different. I think this is going to be kind of a newer type of innovation. Like I covered this project, I don't know, maybe like a week or two ago. Like I was talking a little bit about it, but I think the more I get into this project, the more that I'm looking through it and understanding more about it, the more I'll be able to clearly articulate more about this project and explain some of the inner workings, because it can get a little bit complicated for people that are still kind of new to crypto, but the basics of it are very, very simple. Buy a new car? Awesome, Mike. Another race car? Paid in HEX and sold? So I'm depending on buyers to want the HEX token. I mean, essentially, once it gets on the exchange, you're going to have a market full of buyers, or people that are going to be wanting to stake if you weren't able to get in the initial claiming period. So no one really knows like what this is gonna look like when it hits the market. Like it's I think for the first, perhaps even for like the first month, it might be all over the place. You might have people that get in and claim their coins and then just dump. There's an element of that, but I think that once it gets to a point where like it stabilizes, like everything kind of has this element, this like staking element to it, where there's going to be incentives to stake and to stake longer. So it's you saw this. You've seen a lot of people, or not people, but like projects really kind of getting more into the staking element, and that seems to be more of where crypto is kind of going, in my opinion, because like, you know, the mining element of a lot of these tokens is not really sustainable in terms of costs, and also the incentives behind it, like the incentives to get into mining are just not there anymore. Like when I first started getting into crypto, like one of the first programs I really got into was Genesis Mining, and I was, you know, that was one of the first programs that I was kind of like promoting, and it's really kind of like died out. Like mining is just not, like cloud mining in a sense, it's just not really, there's no money in it, and everything is kind of moving more into this model. But yeah, it used to be Bitcoin HEX. They dropped the Bitcoin branding of it, which I think was a good move, because like Bitcoin itself is not, doesn't have the best kind of marketing element behind it. You look at something like HEX, like there's, you know, it's 3 letters. You know, it's close to like sex. It's close to, it has the hexagonal element to it. It has like kind of the spell element to it when you start looking into the etymology of the word. But there's, you know, I'm really interested in more of kind of the numerology element behind it. So I've been thinking about doing like what I'd really like to do is kind of do some more kind of graphical videos where you kind of get into kind of just do some visually appealing videos, and kind of tying that to cryptocurrency, as opposed to like lately I've been doing a bunch of hit pieces on people, and I want to get away from like more of the personal attacks. It's just I've just been a little bit frustrated with some of the stuff that's been going on. But I'm gonna start, like, you know, I've got a lot of stuff I've been kind of collecting a bunch of files and everything here. So I've been kind of just organizing, like I've got, you know, a bunch of like folders and files. I've just kind of been collecting, and this helps me learn. I also have like Telegram. This is kind of something cool. Like if you guys, I've done this. So what I do is, like, as far as like HEX goes, like I'll take like things from the Telegram, and I'll forward them to like my own private Telegram group, where it's kind of more like me taking notes. And so like there's just some different stuff. Like I don't have the time to go through a lot of this stuff, but there's a lot of really cool elements when you kind of get into it, you know. Like this stuff is awesome right here. This is kind of where I'm talking about, like the graphical element to it. It gets more into my my interests in shamanism and whatnot. So it's, but there's a few other infographics that are kind of cool. There's a lot to learn with this project. Got 3.69 APR. I guess that was kind of one of my things. I was trying to figure out, like, if you, like, what can you realistically expect on a return on investment, in a sense, even though like you're getting it for free. But like, let's throw that out of the bag and just say you're buying Bitcoin to get HEX or something. So you put in, you know, $3,000, and you know that, well, let's just say $5,000. Let's say Bitcoin's $5,000. So let's say you're buying 10,000 HEX for 1 Bitcoin. So you spend $5,000 to get 10,000 HEX. What could you, and like, let's just pretend that the Bitcoin doesn't exist. You were just buying HEX. You're getting those tokens. What kind of return on investment could you expect? Like one of the things I want to look at is breaking it up into like different staking periods. So like maybe one like you're staking for a week, maybe one you're staking for like a month, and maybe you have a long-term one where you're staking for like a year or whatnot. And those different elements, you would be you're receiving different returns on some of those. So I'm still kind of learning and trying to figure some of this stuff out. And the more I get into this and learn about it, the better I'll be able to explain it to you guys. So, because there's really no one really talking about it on other than Richard Hart. There's a few other videos on there, like Cryptoverse has talked about it a little bit. I don't really watch too many of his videos though, but I mean, there's some really talented people doing memes in like the HEX meme group. I put the link to the description below if you guys want to jump in that Telegram group. It's kind of entertaining. But yeah, like I think that's kind of one of the things is not everyone really fully understands the project, and so it's going to take a while for people to kind of wrap their head around it, and as well as like some other YouTubers that are a little bit more known in the space, having a better understanding of it and being able to talk about it. And I think maybe perhaps what we're going to wait to see is like when it hits the market, like what happens, when this thing hits the market, what's it going to be worth? What are people going to be willing to pay for it? How's it going to be? How's the staking element going to play in? There's a lot of different elements. They have this like virality bonus. Increased stakers pay by percentage of the addresses that claim. If 100%, then 100% bonus. So the longer the stake, the more you make. 20% bonus shares for every year you commit over 1 week. Works on any length over 5 years to get 2 times the shares in 1 week would. So, like if you've been following me, like I'm not, I haven't really gotten into a lot of like Bitcoin projects. Like for most of the time, like, I haven't really been like Bitcoin has always been like a transactional currency. You're getting Bitcoin, you're sending it to an exchange so you can get into like other altcoins, or you're sending it somewhere so that you can get into the fiat, like if you need to cash out. So this sense, like we may even see as we get closer to like the snapshot date, we might see a little bit of a pump in Bitcoin. So if this project kind of catches on and you get more and more people interested in getting into this, because in terms of like, it's like crypto is still, even with this like bear market, it's still a very like small niche. There's not like I was kind of even going through that, like when I did that video on like the crypto personalities, it's it's very diverse. There's a lot of different types of personalities, but when you kind of look at some of the top guys, like there's a lot of really like technical guys that not everyone really likes to or can really follow, like kind of for the average everyday person that doesn't really understand a lot of the technical inner workings of different cryptocurrency projects. They're some of the stuff is just going to go over their head, and it might be a little bit overwhelming for them. And I think that like, I guess that's kind of one of the things like where I'm kind of going with what I'm doing with my YouTube is trying to offer a little bit more of like an easier to digest understanding of some of these different projects, and a little bit of like kind of getting away. Like I come from an electricity trading background, but and that's how I started with cryptocurrency, was really getting into the trading element, getting into charting, getting into technical analysis, doing buying low, selling high, a few different other elements of getting into that sort of thing. But once I started traveling, like I can't be tied into my computer and trading all the time. Like I'm just like, I would get wrecked, absolutely wrecked, because I would be in these different projects, and if I'm not paying attention, the market just flips, and I don't have a time or the full understanding to really get into it. So like I've gotten into a lot of different projects where a little bit of that element is taken away. And I think that that's kind of also the fear element for a lot of people that are new into crypto. You get into Bitcoin and it drops, you put a ton of money in, it drops 10%, you just lost 10% of your money. And maybe not everyone's willing to hodl. So, I think that's kind of why, like, I got into more of the earning style platforms, because there's a little bit of that passive income approach to it. And unfortunately, with a lot of those, some of them didn't do as well. Some of them scammed out. You don't have much control over a lot of that stuff. So it's an evolving technology. I mean, certainly the botting element in crypto is there. It's always been there, and that's one of the things I first noticed when I got into crypto in 2013. Was when you're getting on the exchange and you're trying to trade, you're competing with bots. You're competing with technology that's going to be able to do it better than you can. And that was one of the discouraging elements of getting into cryptos. You weren't able to really do some of that, so you really had to learn how to get into bots, which is what I did. Like I got into I got into a bunch of different suites. You had man, I'm blanking on a lot of the different names, but there's the kind of the trading bot element of what we've seen with things like, for instance, like Gunbot or Hozbot was the one that I was mainly playing around with. But that one was really technical. It took me a long time to learn that. I think it was like basically about a month and a half. Like I had no knowledge of it, and you also have to buy the software. So you could get into something like Hozbot, buy the software, and be completely overwhelmed and not really understand it. So that's why, like, for getting into some of these projects, there seemed to me like there's kind of a community element when you're getting into some of these projects, more everyday people that don't have the huge technical background to really fully get into these types of projects, and really dive deep and understand, like some of the things with, say, for instance, like Cardano. I mean, the only guy talking about Cardano is Charles Hoskinson, and you get into some of these other projects, there's big communities. There's big communities. And, I think that this has an element to do that through humor, through like the memes, through that's, I think, like my chat group, my Telegram chat group, like I really started focusing a lot more on memes. I mean, man, there's some awesome stuff in here. I don't know. Let's just click on one. I want to learn how to do this, like putting like something like a face, or like how to do some of these things. I'm still trying to figure out how to learn how to do some of these different things. But there's what is this one? Like, this stuff's awesome. So there's an entertainment element to it. Let me check on the chat a little bit. 50-year immutable contract is not a scam. It's 100% free to Bitcoin holders. Yeah, I don't know, like, I thought like the whole scam talk was kind of ridiculous. Like when I was kind of looking at that, there was a couple of things like people are just kind of outright calling it a scam. And I mean, people are going to jump to conclusions. It's really easy to call something a scam and not really back it up with anything. And so that's kind of some of the things you have to be a little bit dismissive with. The game theory behind HEX is amazing. T-Rich. Richard Hart is probably one of the top thought leaders in my perspective in the crypto space. So like, I've learned a lot from him, and I think it'd be worthwhile for people to check him out. And like I got into this thing. I thought it was funny. This was about like 2 weeks ago or something. I was talking to these guys, and they're big IOTA guys. And so like I never got into IOTA, but they were like talking really good about it and things like that. And if you search IOTA and like Richard Hart, like he just goes on this rant on IOTA, and it's hilarious. And so like my whole thing to them was like, all right guys, like if you're big supporters of the IOTA technology, the coin, whatever. Listen to this clip and hear what he's got to say, and I'd like to see somebody refute it. I want to see somebody, give a good rebuttal to what he's saying. And so like that's kind of like the shit talking element. I got a lot of support for people that will come out and be a little bit more critical, but be able to back it up and articulate why they feel like a certain project or why they have a certain opinions on certain things. And so, and they couldn't do it. Like a lot of it is like they're just going off of like what they heard or maybe the marketing behind it. And this is something also, like I just got into this. There was a very prominent YouTuber I was just talking to yesterday, and he's very famous for going after people like shills and things like that. And I was in PM with him, and he was basically explaining to me like how to, like, I need to get rid of like the high yield investment platforms and get into more legitimate projects, and I'll get sponsorships and things like that. And that's like, it really goes against my principles. Like I've never really accepted sponsorships from any type of project. Like I've had a few, but then like it didn't go well, and they ended up just taking it back. So like I've never like, it kind of skews your point of view in a certain sense. Like you can't really be objective, and I've really tried to steer away from some of that. And I think like, if you get into something that does well, you don't necessarily need to have a sponsorship, in a sense. If the project is good and reputable and whatnot, because like he was kind of explaining like, hey, these guys are making like 40,000 a week shilling projects that they don't even really care about, and that was been my biggest criticism. Like I was going after a long time ago, I kind of stopped doing it, but I was going after these guys that I know are getting paid. Like Data Dash, like the number one guy in the crypto space. Like that guy's getting paid left and right to talk about certain projects. And like, you can't fault the guy from like taking money to talk about certain projects. But lately, like I've been getting my character assassinated from getting behind some of these types of projects that do well. And I haven't been paid a dime, So I'm just an investor, just talking about it on YouTube. Just some schmuck talking about it on YouTube. So, I don't know. I thought it was just, I was amazed, to be quite honest. Like, I was surprised. I was like, really? Are you, really? But like the whole shilling element, like, I think that there was a lot of things that got soured by, say, BitConnect, from like, shilling a link, basically running like ads and that sort of thing. Like that was kind of a big one. Like, man, there's some guys that I just like, I won't, it's very difficult for me to get into and follow guys that are actively, how do I put this? Just like actively selling out. And you can just see it. So, and when they're talking about this, like they're talking about these like projects no one's ever heard of, and they're getting paid to talk about it. And it's just, and like I get these offers. Like I just like, I turn them all. Like I don't really even respond to them. It's like I don't know anything about your project. Like how does your project make money? Is really kind of what it comes down to. Like you have tech. Okay, well. How's that, is there any kind of community behind it? A lot of these communities are fake. Like you get in these Telegram groups and they've got like, thousands and thousands of people in their Telegram group, but only like one or two people are online. It's fake, it's like there's no engagement in some of this stuff. So it's, and there's different ways to kind of do some of this stuff. Like I've gone after a lot of different people, just kind of expose this stuff, because a lot of people don't know. Like there's so many different ways. Like I think it was even I haven't watched the video, but I heard Sunny Decree was just explaining all this stuff, like how to buy subscribers, how to buy views, how to buy likes, how to buy like bots that'll come in and comment. It's like it's a spam fest, right? And so at least with my channel, I feel I've been able to avoid a lot of that just by not really getting involved with it, and I feel like a more authentic community. So I would like to keep it that way. But anyways, I've been on long enough. I'm gonna circle back around and cover this project again. I think one of the biggest reasons why I like this project so much is because of the founder, because of the people behind it. Like this is kind of one of the biggest guys that are really putting themselves out there, that are like, if Andreas Antonopoulos came out and was doing his own project and starting his own coin, everyone would be getting behind that. Everyone, right? He's just, you're not seeing that. So like this project, there's some really smart people working on this project, and the more a lot of times like I'm just an observer, and I'm just kind of looking at it and just learning, and I think one of the things that'll probably help me is like what I'd like to do is maybe do like some live streams, maybe like I was just been recently talking with Keith Waring, English guy, who did a live stream with Richard Hart about Bitcoin HEX, what was like back in February or something. Like maybe we could get together and do a live stream or something. He seemed open to it, and basically kind of go back and forth. And so like we can talk about it, and we can have two guys that aren't Richard Hart talking about a project, and kind of really like I can take some of the things that I know and understand, he can take some of the ways he's looking at the project, and we can have like a really good back and forth conversation. And I think that's going to be very very good for these types of projects. And I think this is a more supportive, like I would much rather see a project that a YouTuber or a crypto thought leader in this sense is really getting behind and promoting, as opposed to these no-name companies with anonymous CEOs, or like people you've never heard of, like their whole team could just be fake. I'm working on a video right now with a company that like everything that they're doing is like fake, and like I have to say something with some of this stuff. So I've been working on that video. I'm going to be doing that right after I get off the stream. So anyways, appreciate you guys staying online, and curious your thoughts and what you guys think about the project. Maybe some different things you don't really understand. I think we're all still trying to kind of like grasp it. So I think this is a really cool one, and I'm going to be doing updates on this every so often.